excited to be back. I have been so busy since my last podcast, and I am so excited to talk all the things that happened. From my last podcast was end of June. We went through the World Cup, and oh my gosh, so much happened, and so much is still happening. So it's super crazy, and I am very excited to talk a little bit more about, what all happened. All right, so let's start off with the World Cup. I was really disappointed in US. Do I think the roster was 100% great? No. I'll be honest, I don't think the best 23 were brought. That's just my personal opinion. And maybe the coaching staff, saw something in these other players. But yeah, that's my point of view. So USA barely made it out of group play. Their group wasn't anything crazy hard. I feel like, I can't remember what group it was, but the group that had Canada, Australia, Ireland, and I'm forgetting that last one, was probably the hardest group play for the whole World Cup, which was crazy to also see Canada not even make it out of group play. But yeah, I really think the US should have came out number one of that group play, but they came out as number two. And then they go and play Sweden, and, it wasn't the greatest game, but heck, it was a lot better than, what we were seeing in the group play. And honestly, that just came down to coaching, and, they saw a fault in, honestly, it was Andy Sullivan. She's just not able to cover the ground as a sole CDM, as the sole six. So they had two sixes, Emily Sonnet and Andy Sullivan put that together, and, it worked well for the U.S., but ultimately it just came down to, it just didn't get the momentum going forward enough to where we could, put one in the back of the net. And then it came down to PKs, and I watched the PKs live, and I honestly think Alyssa Nair saved it. And if you watched her interview on the Snacks podcast with Sam Mewis and Lynn Williams, she said she'll take it to her grave that she saved it. And it's just crazy that by a millimeter your World Cup journey can be over. So really disappointing from the U.S. And honestly, I'm going to call out some players that really did not make a name for themselves that I was really hoping that would really, turn this team around. Alex Morgan, I don't think you did anything spectacular. I don't know why she got the minutes she did. I think Sophia Smith is a better 9 than Alex Morgan. And I think that's when you can put, your Lynn Williams, your Alyssa Thompson on that left-hand side that has speed. And I think, having Alyssa Thompson and Lynn Williams on the left, Sophia Smith in the middle, and then Rodman on the right, I think that's just the way you got to go. And kind of build that momentum with these 4 players, because Malpew is out. But when it does push comes to shove, I do think Alex Morgan should not be brought up to the Olympics. It just was really disappointing to see. And then I really don't understand Megan Rapinoe. I think she was a great player. Going through the years, the 2015, the 2019 World Cup, solid player. I think now she's just at that age where she's not up to par with how soccer is played nowadays. And her getting the minutes that she did over someone like Alyssa Thompson, over Lynn Williams, over even possibly Ashley Sanchez, who could play up top, just kind of mind-boggled me. So I don't think she did anything great. And last person I'm just not a personal fan of is Andy Sullivan playing in that 6 role. Unless she's playing with another CDM, then I think both of them can control the midfield with that, but that leaves, one sole cam, and we're not able to make the momentum go forward. And maybe that's a change, getting possibly maybe a 4-4-2 formation, when Alex Morgan and Abby Wambach were up top. That just worked out. Carly Lloyd was in the middle with Lauren Holiday, Megan Rapinoe, Tobin Heath on the sides. I think that's just, all in all, it comes down to a coaching flaw. And, we saw it last year with, just the U.S. playing. And we knew going into this year that it wasn't it. It wasn't up to par. It wasn't up to the USA standards that they've been at. And I think that's kind of what Carly Lloyd was talking about indirectly was, the standard that was set for the 2015, the 2019 team, just the standard that was set is not there anymore. And that honestly took place when Vlaco started coaching. And I don't think he was putting the right people in. I don't think he was taking, his job seriously enough to where, you need to have, if somebody goes down like Mal Pugh, who is that person that you're now training to get in rhythm with, your Alex Morgan, your Sophia Smith, your Trinity Rodman. And he was just I feel like he was just hoping and praying that Megan Rapinoe was going to come in and score this banger of a goal. And gosh, I mean, you guys saw her with it. You saw her with it for the PK too. And, no disrespect to Megan Rapinoe, no disrespect to Alex Morgan. They're both great players, but I really just expected more out of them, knowing the circumstances of going into the World Cup and knowing that the team isn't going to be good enough. And you really just got to put the team on your back in that instance, and they didn't. So it just stinks. It stinks. And then we go and, we get Julie Ertz back from, her maternity leave. She hasn't played in over, year and a half, 2 years with her MCL tear. And then she got pregnant. Very happy that Julie Ertz came back because she was a solid player. Her and Gurm in the back was unstoppable. And, it sucked to see that Becky Sauerbrunn couldn't take that place for Julie Ertz, and Julie Ertz could be in that 6 role for Sullivan. And I low-key think that Vlaco called up Julie Ertz and was like, I need you to come back for the World Cup because we're not going to be able to even win this thing without you. And to be honest, I think they maybe wouldn't have made it out of group play without Julie Ertz. Because then you're going to go and put Cook back there, which Cook has been starting in the back line with Gurma for the past year and a half. There'd be some mix-up with Becky Sauerbrunn, Gurma, Cook, Sauerbrunn. But most likely you see Gurma starting with somebody else. And then it comes World Cup and Cook didn't even play a minute. That comes down to coaching, and if you don't trust somebody to go in and make a difference, then you brought up the wrong person. You've been training the wrong person this whole time to be prepared for the World Cup. And again, no disrespect to Alana Cook. She is a pro soccer player. I am not. She's made it to that next level. And again, this is not to tear anybody down, but you got to pick the best 23, and you got to, start preparing a year plus in advance, knowing like, hey, I didn't make it, the first year Vlaco went in. Like, Vlaco should have realized, like, shit, this team is not it anymore. I need to make adjustments, and I don't think he did. I think he just kind of hoped and prayed that what Jill Ellis left off was going to be good enough to win the World Cup again. And it wasn't. So it stinks to see that. And then, Coach Vlaco brought up Savannah DeMello, who has been really a showstopper for NWSL. And yes, I think, she should have been brought up, but then you're putting her in over Ashley Sanchez, who's been brought up consistently for the national team. And yes, maybe she's not the most consistent player when you do put her on the field, but when she is on, she is a deadly weapon. And I think Vlaco didn't even get her a chance. She didn't even get any minutes. And if you guys didn't see, she got interviewed, and the role that Vlaco told her that she was going to play a part of, she didn't play it. She didn't play any of it. And, I think, again, Vlaco relied on Rose Lavelle coming back. Rose Lavelle hadn't played since April, She still got brought into camp in June, and she, played. She had to get her fitness in, so Savannah DeMello started, and Lavelle went in. And it sucks that Lavelle, got the double yellow back-to-back games, which made her out for that Sweden game. And that comes down to, yes, Rose Lavelle needs to also, watch to make sure she's not getting those cards, because that happens. But also, Vlaco, are you prepared if Rose Lavelle was not physically fit, or she got hurt even more during camp? Because, again, she hasn't played since April. They brought her into camp in June. Who are you going to put? And I don't think he really took the time. I mean, Savannah DeMello's first cap was right before the World Cup against Wales, against a team who didn't even qualify for the World Cup. Come on now. You didn't even, I don't know. I feel like he just should have given Sanchez a chance, because then she goes in to her first game back to the NWSL and rips a shot. And if you didn't see it, go look it up, because good gosh, it is a sick goal. And I think that's just her revenge goal, knowing what she could have brought to the table. And I think if Sophia Smith would have played that center forward role over Alex Morgan, Sanchez behind her, those two are dangerous players if they can, make it work together. If they can start getting cohesiveness on the national level, those two players are dangerous with how their footwork is and how deadly their shots are. Again, I'm not a coach, but overall, I think it was a coaching flaw. And then you honestly saw, Vlaco resign, and I don't even think, I don't think it was a surprise. I think it was going to happen. Even I think if they didn't even get a medal, even if they got to the next round past Sweden and they lost, I think Vlaco was going to lose his job if they didn't, unless they got a medal in the World Cup. Then Vlaco would have his job. But I'm excited to see who the next, coach is. I would prefer a woman to be, at that level of coaching for the girls, because you've just seen success with Pia Sundhagen and Jill Ellis. You've seen success with women coach for the national team. And, it's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, So, hoping for a girl coach. We'll see. We will see how it goes. All right, let's get to the bad news. The even worse news than World Cup, which is Julie Ertz retiring. So, this recently just happened a few days ago. I honestly saw it coming. And, players got a couple weeks off who played, a lot of minutes in the World Cup to just kind of recover and take it day by day to get back into their club. And when I saw Angel City not even list Julie Ertz as somebody on the bench, I knew that, Julie Ertz was going to be done. It sucks. Julie Ertz is probably one of my favorite players of all time, right behind Mia Hamm. I can just relate with Julie Ertz' relentlessness on the field, her aggressiveness, and just overall desire to win, and showing up for her country every single game and every single time she steps on that field. And it's just crazy that she's retiring, but I 100% completely understand. I think Julie Ertz had her baby I think it was a couple days before I had my baby, and being away from my kid for more than, a couple days is just extraordinarily hard on me. So I can completely relate to Julie Ertz just not being able to be with Madden the whole time. And I feel like if there was an NWSL team in Arizona where Zach Ertz and the family is, that she probably would have kept playing. But being in LA and not being able to be with Madden every single day, I completely understand her choice, but she will be missed. And I'm super grateful that I was able to watch her grow as a player over the past, 10 years of her career. I actually remember, I think it was the 2015 World Cup, and, I saw Julie Ertz playing center back, and I'm pretty sure she scored an own goal. And, I was like, dang, like, Julie Ertz, you're good. Like, I know own goals happen, and they're just by mistake. And I was like, that's a player, though, that doesn't get down when things like that happens. And, she goes into the next World Cup. They win it, gold. And 2019, she got Player of the Year. It's just crazy. So super excited for what's in store for her and her family in the future. But yeah, very sad that she's retiring, and now I need to find a new favorite person to represent. If you don't see my jersey, it's a Trinity Rodman jersey. She's my new go-to player. Love her grit. If you didn't see her Meg in the last game, it was dirty. I'll have to post it on my page because it was dirty. All right. So the last thing I'm gonna get into is who should be the next 23. I think this is gonna be a huge adjustment, and I think this next coach has to be brave in knowing that, the next 23 that are brought up for, these playful games, these friendlies, against Nigeria. And I don't remember the other team that they play, but I think the coach needs to be brave on choosing these next people to see what they got. And what the heck, if they lose, were we expecting anything, crazy, a crazy comeback from the World Cup? You can only go up from here. And I think trying out new people to get ready for the Olympics next year is what you need to do. So who should be the next 23? Let's start with goalies. I do think Alyssa Nair should, stay. I think she is a solid presence in goal. She's a great PK stopper and taker. If you didn't see her PK, she nailed it. Pretty cool to see. Casey Murphy, I think, is a very good, backup goalie to Alyssa Nair and can really learn from Nair, just how to grow at the, the national level. And then one goalie who has not been brought up that I feel like should be brought up, and I thought she would be brought up last year, was Katie Lunn from Racing Louisville. Another tall goalie, great player. No disrespect to, Jane Campbell, A.D. Franch, Aubrey Bledsoe, Kingsbury. I think Katie Lunn has got what it takes, and I think she just needs to breathe at that national level to see if she can make it. And I do think she can. She's a showstopper for Racing Louisville, so I'd be definitely excited to see what she has. As far as defense, so this is where I'm going to switch things up a little bit. So obviously we're going to do some Germa. I don't know if Becky Sauerbrunn is going to play another year. I don't. So I left her off the list. She's just getting back now with Portland Thorns. If she's good to go and she's going to play another year, great. I'll put her on my list, but right now she's not. So Germa, Sam Staub. If you have not watched her with Washington Spirit, that's a player that you need to watch. She takes some deadly corner kicks and some direct kicks. She is left-footed, so she's got that in-swinger when she's on the right side. And I think with, her and Germa, Sam Staub's not the fastest, but I think she is a smart tactical player that could really make a difference on the field. And I think her and Germa would be great together. Emily Fox is a no-brainer. I think, her World Cup, if I had to give her a grade, it would be, B+. And I think that just kind of came down to, nerves, first World Cup. She's playing outside back. And she's been playing kind of both sides. So definitely see her coming up. Jenna Nightswanger, she's been playing for Gotham. Jenna actually played midfield for Florida State, and when she got brought to Gotham, they've been putting her an outside back, and she is just so good. She's been on the NWSL Best 11 for 2 months. I think she was player or rookie of the month one of those months. she's definitely a player that I think should be brought up to the national team just to see how she does at the national level. And then I want to see Emily Madrill. She plays center back for Orlando Pride. I think she is a very hard worker. And I think she just needs to play at a higher level to really see, if she can make it. So I'd like to see that. And Malia Berkeley has been playing center back, CDM, kind of for North Carolina Courage. I think she is a smart tactical player. So I'd like to see her play if that's possible. So those are my defenders. And then let's go into our midfield. This is where I think we're going to have a big switch up. So Haran, I don't think she had the greatest World Cup. But I don't think it's because of herself personally. I think it's just the people around her couldn't make her great. So Haran, Rose Lavelle. For our CDMs, I have a few. I have Howell, Jalen Howell from Racing Louisville, who is, I think, now number 2 in tackles in the NWSL. Sam Coffey, who's number 1. Emily Sonnet, I actually preferred her in the midfield versus, having her in the back line. And she's been playing that CDM role too at Oral Reign. And then Savannah DeMello, I kind of want to see more out of her before I can say 100% that she deserves that spot. But we'll see. Ashley Sanchez, I still think is a solid player. I think she just needs to get used to playing at that higher level and be a more consistent player to where she can play on the field. Because I think if we were able to get Rose Lavelle and her on that field together, I think that'd be wicked. And then last player is Crystal Dunn. Going into the World Cup, Crystal Dunn was playing that cam role for Portland Thorns. She was in contest with, Golden Boot. And I think that's just a player that, is solid on defense, is fast, and also has a really nice shot. So I'd like to see her, in their midfield, whether it is CDM or cam position. I think she is someone that, she did great on the outside, but I definitely want to see her in the middle a little bit more, how she plays with Portland Thorns. And then my up top. So Trinity Rodman, I know for that Sweden game, she came out pretty early, but she was recovering from a sickness. I think this is a player that when she gets more used to playing at the national level, she'll be a great player. Sophia Smith, she is hopefully going to be back by the time those friendlies happen. She recently just sprained her MCL, so she's out for the next coming weeks. We don't know a return time on that, but hopefully it's by the time these friendlies happen. Alyssa Thompson, I think, can be great. I think she just needs to get her boots wet at the national level, and that way when it does come time for the next World Cup, she's been playing consistently up top at the national level, and can really make a difference for that next World Cup. Morgan Weaver, I would like to see be brought up. She was brought up a couple of years ago for, I want to say it was for the Australia game, and I think she's just a player. Again, they all got to get used to just playing at the national level. It's different from playing with your club team, and I think Morgan Weaver has that grit that the U.S. is looking for, and she's been killing it with Portland Thorns this year. Next, Messiah Bright. I actually put her as one of my players that is going to make a difference earlier this year on my page. Coming into her rookie year, she got player of the month last month and rookie of the month. No other player has gotten that before. She does play that center forward, kind of outside forward role at Orlando. They kind of play a different format to me, but I think this could be a player that really makes a difference, in the air with the grittiness and her speed. I think she could be a really great player to the national team. And then last forward I'm picking is Jaden Shaw. She does work for San Diego Wave, and I think, again, has to just get her feet wet at the national level. she's young, only 18, 19 years old. So again, she's got time, just like Alyssa Thompson, of really getting her feet wet, getting momentum within the national team to where she's able to take it to the next level, to where when, possibly the Olympics comes and the next World Cup, she's prepared. And then also kind of on my maybe list is, I don't know where Sam Mewis is going to stand when she gets back, but Sam Mewis has always been a dominant force on the national team. So, maybe once Coach figures out, between Howell, Coffey, and Sonnet, who can really play that CDM role, take the third place one out, and put Sam Mewis there, because I think she is just with her height and, her knowledge of the game, I think she's a solid player that could really make a difference. And then one person that I really think should be brought up is Mia Fischel. She played for the Tigres in Mexico, and I think there's rumors now that she's possibly going to Chelsea, which if she went to Chelsea, oh my gosh, Chelsea will be just full of great players. Sam Kerr, Katarina Macario, Mia Fischel, and Kat Macario. I mean, again, she's still coming back from playing. I think it's another player that can be brought up too. But again, I think she just has to earn her way back to the national team. And I think there's a lot of great prospects that are young, and I think this next coach really needs to pick out some players that are young, kind of bring in some fresh blood to the U.S. team. And I think it's time to say goodbye to all the older players, because they're stuck in their old ways, and I think it's time to bring in some fresh blood that can get their feet wet at the national level. But yeah, guys, I am so excited to be back. I am so happy that I was able to record a podcast, just with how busy I've been with everything. But this is Morgan with Soccer Unfiltered, and I will talk to you guys soon.